15 at the latest.
Sounds good. We are live. We are live. We just want to give a few minutes for people to get in here and join us so we can have some lovely talks about this beautiful book that is now in the
I
world.
meant to have a copy on me. Yeah, I'm
So
glad you got yours.
beautiful. I'm 2 steps ahead of you, girl. I was in
Excellent.
the coffee line today. The girl was asking me like, "Oh, what are you doing today?" Because I don't know if you go to Seven Brew, but every time I go there, they just, are chatty while you waiting for your coffee. I was like, yeah, I'm about to go record a video. Here's the book. I showed it to her. So I was like, picking you up and stuff,
Thank you.
promoting you.
Thank you.
Um, just chatting with the young lady. She was asking me about what I'm doing. And I was talking about all my little artistic stuff that I do and how, like, right now it does not pay bills, but I feel like it keeps me going. Like, I feel like when I'm doing my artistic works, it gives me life.
Yes.
So,
Keep you
um,
tapped in.
more power to all the artists who are navigating this world. And it seems like it's like increasingly difficult to keep your creative energies up and active because of like all the things that happen in the world. And I think that also like your book is actually something that can help people to like just, I want to say like stay grounded in who we are and what we are here on this earth to be doing. Um, and today we're talking about The Hermit, which is a free chapter. It's available on Sarah's Substack. So make sure that if you have not already, that you go read that. But also you can buy her ebook, which is available anywhere you can buy an ebook.
Yes.
Right now it is available online. And then on the 24th of October, right, the
Yeah.
actual book itself can be purchased online and in
Yeah.
stores.
Online and in stores at everywhere you generally get your books from, you'll be able to get it. And it's available for pre-order now. So if you want to pre-order at Amazon or Barnes and Noble, that looks really good for new authors.
Yes, so y'all get out and support Sarah. We just been sitting here chatting about, our week so far this week, and things that have been going on. But let's go ahead and dive into like some of how you're feeling, even about the book being out and um what your like next moves, next steps if you want to be taking.
Well, first, thank you. Thank you for having me on to talk, and thank you for sharing the work with other folk. I think it's a lot of mixed emotions. To be
Mm.
honest, I feel like for the last year and a half, maybe last 2 years, at any given time, you could feel like every single emotion there is to feel like within an hour or something. And so
Mm.
I feel like similarly, having released the book, I got physical copies September 5th, and it was
Mm.
unexpected. So that was the day that the ebook became available, and I knew that that was happening. I did not expect that I was going to get a few of the books sent to me that day. So it was beautiful. It was surreal. I had often fantasized, like, what will it be like when I get to hold it in my hands? I cried. I do feel like it was worth the wait. It felt like it took so long, and
Mm.
it really didn't. It really didn't. And I have had such an amazing support with bringing it into the world. Um, so yeah, I'm proud of it. I'm excited for other people to engage with it. I enjoy hearing what's coming up for other people already. I still have to remind myself, like, you've accomplished a great feat. Like, this was a lot of work. It was a
Mhm.
whole big ass project, and you did it. And it's okay to not like, you know, all the ways you can be like, oh, I haven't done enough. I haven't done enough at
Yeah.
all. I need to be doing what the next person is doing. So those are just some of the things that are coming up, but very, very proud of myself. Like when I scanned through the book for the first time, which is different than most recently, if I've engaged the book, it's been very meticulous line edits,
Mhm.
to get it done and back to publishing. But I'm like, oh, this is an excellent product.
Yes.
This is a beautiful a beautiful piece of work that will offer so much. And I'm so grateful to Shakima, who helped share in my vision and really helped me give it the shape that is just going to offer so much. So that's some of how I feel right now.
Okay. And yes, congratulations to you, because that is super big. And I think a lot of us are guilty of feeling like we haven't done enough when we don't even take into account like how much energy it took for us to do what we have done.
Yes,
And that like comparison is the thief of joy. Like we don't need to
truly.
be worried about what the next person is doing and how they're doing it, because we don't know what privileges they have. We don't know, who is backing them, what is backing them. But you should definitely be super proud of yourself, like because you even in writing the book, you've taken a kind of non-traditional path for getting it published. I know like a lot of authors take a different route. Do you feel like good about your decision to self-publish?
Thank you so much for this question. I feel like I need to talk about this a lot more. Yes, I'm so thrilled about my decision to self publish. It was so empowering. Um, and even less about comparison, just my own experience with being able
Mhm.
to work with an editor that I chose, who saw me and was able to work with me and affirm me and offer critique where it was necessary. Just offered me so much. It completely just shaped and changed my standard for what I should expect moving forward with just writing and publishing at all.
Okay.
Like, if it can be like this, I ain't about to settle for it being nothing else. And in terms of self-publishing, I went through the company Book Baby. And it's not bad. I appreciated it. I appreciated the people who worked with me. There were some kind of frustrating issues going back and forth with final edits.
Mhm.
Um, but even still, I'm so pleased with the product and everything that felt like, oh, this is such a long wait, or even like having to spend more money to make corrections that I honestly felt like, I don't know why I have to pay for this again. I know how I sent it to y'all. Why isn't it showing up this way? But
Yeah.
even for all of that, I announced to the public on social media that I was self-publishing a book October 30th, 2024. And I did not have a book completed at that time. I had bits and
Mhm.
pieces. Um, and now it's in the world, and
Right.
nobody
Less
could
than
tell
a
me. Yeah, I've seen so many people who are doing traditional publishing, like their publishing dates get pushed back indefinitely, or the challenges of having to kind of hope that your editor or publisher recognizes your humanity as at the base, so you don't have to try to
Mhm.
explain and convince them of that, just so you can tell your very necessary story. So I was able to avoid all of that, and I'm very grateful, and I think that we deserve that, because so frequently in all of these systems or institutions, these traditional spaces, we just in there trying to prove ourselves to people who are not even keeping the standards that we're
Mhm.
trying to meet to do so. So I love it. I'm very pleased.
Yes. Awesome. I love that. And I'm actually, I forgot to say this. I am at Shakima's house right now. I'm in the yard
Also, tell her
on
where they
this
are.
very like very just ancestral land. And it's also like a part of where the book was developed and edited. So I feel like this is a really good place to talk about this. And it's so nice out. Like I'm so happy for the change in the weather. Like it's not hot and sticky and unbearable. So it's really nice out here and it just feels good to be able to be in this space and to just think about all the people that have allowed us to even be here in this present moment. So thanks to the ancestors for that, for one.
Yes.
And let's talk about the Hermit though, because I read the chapter when you first put it on Substack, and it brought into like the forefront of my mind a lot of things that I face, and I feel like a lot of people face. I feel like this theme comes up a lot when it comes to like Black women in workplaces, or really just any place, because it seems like so many spaces that we enter are just designed for the opposite of what we need and what we
Mhm.
desire for ourselves. So talk to us about, I guess, kind of the inspiration behind the chapter and the crooked room specifically, because that is what really like pulled me into the chapter.
Excellent. Thank you. So Okay, this will be a nonlinear answer for sure. So, starting with the crooked room, it is a theory that Dr. Melissa Harris Perry coins and talks about in her book, Sister Citizen. And it is an analogy she makes based on a World War II field study where essentially the investigators, the scientists were bringing people into a room to study how people positioned themselves upright in a crooked environment. And I'm sitting in this moment like I don't know why they was doing that, but that was the study that they was doing. So they was bringing participants in there, and like say the room is crooked, the walls are uneven, the floor is slanted, maybe the ceiling, is
Mm,
wobbly, maybe the pictures is hanging crooked, the chairs, not straight. So that's what I envision. And then the participant is told to basically stand upright vertically, like align yourself
mm,
up and down. And
mm,
what the study showed is that there would be some people who would be tilted as far or as much as 30 degrees one way or another, but they themselves would report that they had managed to stand upright, vertically because they saw themselves in alignment with the crooked environment.
It was
There
their
were
perception.
Yes, it was their perception of the alignment with the environment. Like obviously I'm straight. I'm up and down. And if I recall correctly, there are very few who actually manage to kind of find their own center of gravity and actually be perhaps what the investigators saw as upright. But Dr. Harris Perry makes this an analogy for the experiences of Black women in America, particularly surviving this crooked
Mm,
room, as you said, these environments that were created in opposition not just to what we need, but to what we are and how we
mhm,
exist. So I think about systems like patriarchy, like capitalism, like white supremacy, like the undergirding anti-blackness of it all, and our
mhm,
attempts to do our best to align with it for our survival.
right.
For our survival, we're going to do the best we can. And very often, in some cases, we don't even have the space to acknowledge, oh, this whole room is crooked. Like, one, it's not me that's crooked, it's the room. But also, I have absolutely been socialized to contort myself to survive
Mhm,
here. And I've been socialized to believe that this contortion of myself is actually like winning. It's actually excellence. It's actually wholeness. This this bending up of myself to align with systems that depend on
mhm,
my subservience. So that was a theory that played a large role in my graduate research about epigenetic trauma and Afrofuturism as a pathway to healing Black women's epigenetic trauma or generational trauma. And the chapter, The Shadow of the Hermit, is actually probably one of the last pieces that made its way to the book. It was based
mhm,
around an actual tarot reading, a Sankofa shadow work tarot reading that I had given to myself and was just doing, a lot of it is my journals. It's personal reflections and channeled messages in the book. So this is one example of me just sitting down trying to be like, yo, what shadow is presenting itself and what can I do with it? And what came up for me in that moment was the hermit, this kind of recluse, this person who like is a homebody, and
mhm,
keeps to themselves some of these kind of traditional associations with the word hermit. What was revealed to me in that read is that that was a shadow, which took me by surprise because you couldn't tell me that's not my whole identity. Like, I am a very shy and quiet and demure Sarah who stays in the back and support everybody.
mhm.
Like a grand fabrication that I've been
Like, I
carrying.
relate to that so much.
Yeah, yeah, like that's not even real.
Yeah, it's so funny you said that because two things. One, about the socialization, like I recently have been experiencing something in a workplace where I was like, I feel like I'm in a social experiment. Like, this is a really bad social experiment. It has to be. Like, people are playing games and using people for pawns, and we're all just a part of this huge board game that I cannot win no matter what, because like you said, it is a crooked room. Like, there is no winning. They don't
Mm-hmm.
want you to win. They want you to keep playing and playing and playing until you play yourself out.
That's it.
But also about having this perception of myself as being a homebody, and I'm quiet and I'm shy and I stay to myself and I have this image of whatever. And I'm like, that's not exactly really who I am. It might be a part of who I am, it might
Right.
be like how I present to the world, but like me and you know. You know
Right.
what I mean? Other people who like know me personally know like, okay, that's just one level of who you are as a person. It's not really your true identity. So I
Mm-hmm.
definitely relate to that on a whole other level for sure.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you. Yeah, and to acknowledge as a shadow, like not only is it not my full identity, but it's an aspect of me that I've learned to develop for my survival in this crooked room. So, I
Hmm.
don't know who I would have been if I never learned to like play the back and be quiet
Hmm.
and I don't know. But I recognize that now there were like, as opposed to pathologizing myself, I've been like, girl, you was bullshitting this whole time. I'm like, nah, it was a part of me. And
Yeah.
also it's not the whole of me. And also I can now acknowledge the systems, the environments, the context that I learned that I took that
Hmm.
identity on is like, oh no, this is what I need to do to make it all the way here for us to have a conversation, mid 30s.
Yeah.
Like, actually, girl.
And that you don't have to feel guilt for, because it's almost like sometimes I feel like, dang, am I playing a role? Like, am I not really, you know what I'm saying? Like, am I being fake?
Mhm.
But is that being fake, or is that just trying to survive a reality that, we didn't ask for?
I agree.
Um,
And I think it's a personal question in terms of I think I was just talking to Jade about this, about performance and how generally when we
mhm,
talk about performance as a pejorative, at least for me, it's around somebody that's performing or putting on for the viewer or idea of another. I'm
mhm,
perhaps, you're performing something that you don't really believe
mhm.
versus, like you said, having to navigate and survive a thing, or also
Right.
again just taking on the presentation that's going to allow you to move through whatever system you need, which is also very Black and something that we had to
Yeah,
do
that we have to
forever.
do. We
Yeah,
have to do it. And this is also like, are we actually performing, or are we allowing people the perception they have of us to just remain intact? Like, if that's what you think I am, I'm gonna just let you. It's working for us, so if that's what you think, let's let you go ahead and do that, rather than trying to explain or trying to justify, why today you might get this version of me, and tomorrow, if you step the wrong way, you might get that version of me. They're both me. You know
right.
what I mean? They're both me. But I don't think anyone is just the exact same way every single day. And if they are, then that's definitely a performance, like in my mind.
Very good point. I agree.
In my mind.
Yeah.
Yes. Another topic that's very heavy throughout the book. And I really want people to read this book. Like, don't just read the chapter. It is a free chapter. It's available. You should read it. I think that you will definitely connect to it. But personally, of course, I haven't read the whole book just yet, but I am, because I think it's important. And I want to talk more about epigenetic trauma, because I think the first time I ever met you, we were in a workshop that Shakima had, and
Right.
it was, what was it called? It was called,
Black diamond something.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Black Diamond, Black Diamond Sangha.
Yes.
Yes.
Hey, boo.
And we had like, I would say like 6 to 7 women, and we were talking about epigenetic traumas and what that means, and talk talk about that. Talk
Wow.
about what that is, what
What a
it means.
callback.
That was a long time ago, right? That
Yeah.
was a long
Yeah.
time ago. Like, that had to be like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was like it was 2019. It wasn't that long.
2019. Okay, not that long. Okay. Like 6 years ago.
I had shortly moved back. It was right after I had moved back from Atlanta to Georgetown. And I was just telling
Mhm.
Shakima recently, like, it was just earlier this year that I accepted, oh, I really live in Georgetown. I haven't just been here getting ready to go
Girl,
somewhere else. Like,
same.
I really live
It's funny because like our lives mirror a lot. Cause like we
here.
were both living in Atlanta at the same time. We both kind of moved back to South Carolina in the same time frame. And we have a lot of mirrors in that way, but
Mhm.
we'll talk about that another day. Anyway,
Where,
back
yes,
to epigenetic
epigenetics.
trauma.
So that basically it's just a study and understanding that we inherit the trauma of our ancestors, that the trauma that we experience not only changes like has impacts on our genes, but it has impacts on the genes of those who come after us. And
Mm.
this was a big focus of my graduate research after working as a historical interpreter on a plantation. I worked at McLeod Plantation Historic Site in Charleston, and from 2015 to 2016. And it was very heavy work. As you can imagine, it was very ancestral work, and sometimes it was very traumatic work. And I knew that I was having a unique experience, kind of even unique to my other colleagues who were doing that same job. And when I went to study public history, which is what I got my master's degree in, I actually had just heard about epigenetics on a podcast. I was listening to the Friend Zone podcast, and they were talking about this study with this rat. I think that's the first time I heard about it. And basically at Emory University, they did this study where they conditioned a male rat to be terrified of the scent of a cherry blossom plant by pairing the scent of the plant with a shock. And so eventually it got to a point where they didn't even have to shock the rat. Like whenever it smelled that smell, it would be scared. It would be terrified. It would respond traumatically. And then they bred the rat, and the offspring of the rat was born with a terrified of the scent of this plant, even though the offspring, the baby rat, had never been shocked. You know, the baby rat was not alive or in existence, so to speak, when that experiment was taking place, but born after it inherited that fear. And at the time, if I recall correctly, what I read was that trauma in plants and animals can travel up to it can travel or can be passed down as far as 14 generations. And what I always like to point out to folk, at least for us, particularly in the United States, we're only like 6.5 generations removed from 1865, which we can't even really call the abolition of slavery anymore at this point, which is what we understand now. So we're only halfway in there. And what we know is that trauma and the impacts of it, and the impacts that it has on our coding, on our bodies and ways of being, is transmitted very far. And so this is both, at least for me at the time, I first learned about this in 2017. It was both validating, like, oh, all of my sorrow and pain and self-loathing and fear, all of it is not mine. That's very powerful to acknowledge. Like, oh, I'm not. Again, all the ways that this system teaches us to pathologize our guilt ourselves. It's like, oh, I'm not just, fucked up. But then also like, well, damn, what do we do with that? What do we do?
Right.
What do we do?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's almost like our DNA has memory, like,
Yes.
and it's within us.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically, Sankofa shadow work, which I'll let you talk about kind of more detail into what that is, but we know that it comes from West African ideology, and that in order to heal forward, we have to go backward, right? So explain that to our viewers.
Again, I would say it was my work on the plantation. I say that in my book that really brought me to Sankofa. I know that it was a kind of ideology or an understanding that I had already. My parents as historians, though I didn't necessarily fully recognize the weight of what it was that they were doing, but it was on the plantation doing that work. And then the following years of my graduate program where I really recognized that time was not linear. And I really started to believe, also based on the work of the Somays ancestors, Sabonfu and Malidoma, that in this present moment, we have access to every timeline. I was also reading Octavia Butler a lot, and that was very interesting to read her works of fiction alongside the very like memoir, autobiographical work of a West African shaman from Burkina Faso, who was like, they talking about similar themes in terms of time travel and nonlinear time, but also the ancestors depending on the descendants for their liberation. And these were things that I think we talked about it. That was definitely the theme of kindred. And also, if you think about it, that's the theme of Coco as well. But like, it took me on my second read of Octavia Butler's Kindred to realize, oh, like the main character didn't go back and change the past. Like it was all
Mm-hmm.
existing at once. Like her ancestors' freedom, her enslaved ancestors' freedom always required that her in 1980 did what she did.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of embracing that alongside the soulmates, talking about the ways that they as indigenous people in this part of West Africa stayed connected to themselves and spirit, in the ways that they were accountable not just to those that came before them but those that came after them. That I really started to, one, I guess, just kind of see there's way more going on than what we've been made to think. But also
Mm-hmm.
when we think about shadows and shadow work, which I think is a very, popular buzz term right now, a lot of people think
Mm-hmm.
about it very, they think about it in various ways. For me, I'm like, and this is how I look at it. I talk about it a little bit in the book, and I don't even know that this is so, novel. But for me, if like we understand that a shadow is simply what happens when there is an opaque object that is blocking the flow of light. It's just a very
Mm-hmm.
neutral thing that happens. It's not good or bad. It's not, you have to write a think piece about the existence of a shadow. But
Mm-hmm.
thinking about that on a both human and spiritual level, and also thinking about the light flow, the flow of direct light as this divine love that I think pre-exists us all and that we all come from. There are perhaps experiences, contexts, violent systems, interpretations, stories that block that flow of light that is always flowing to ourselves and the source of our existence. And a shadow.
Yeah. Okay, I think, yeah, definitely shadow work has been like a super buzzy word for like the past 3, 4 years that I've been seeing. And I think that there is like a negative connotation. People think, shadow is like the boogeyman, it's scary, it's spooky. But from what you're saying right now, it's more so of, like you said,
It's
it's
neutral.
like, right, it's neutral. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person, that you have to address your shadow. It's just maybe parts of yourself that you didn't realize before or you didn't know before. And so now, you working through that to help yourself develop and grow as a person. So thank you for
And
that.
with the, I think I read in that same study, like the actual study of light and shadows, like of course the brighter the light is, the sharper and more defined the shadow becomes. It's more visible based on, the direct flow and how bright the light is. So again, thinking about this on a personal level, from Sankofa, and also again from all these other African diasporic traditions that we flow from, knowing that it's bigger than just us. So to look
Mm,
at and identify and think about a shadow aspect of yourself is to acknowledge it did not start with you. It didn't start with the two people that made you. It didn't start with the four people that made them. Like in terms of the context that we've had to learn
mm,
to survive within, particularly as Black people around the world, but very specifically in Africa. Hell yeah, it's shadows. And so some of the shadows are inherited. Some of the ways that we have
mm,
learned how to be in relationship in alignment with this crooked environment are things that are passed down, not just from our mama, you know what I'm saying? That are
yeah.
passed down from experiences that her great great grandfather survived. And what does it
Mm,
mean to do that very personal work of interrogation, of personal compassion and interrogation of myself, while also recognizing, oh yeah, and the people that I descended from were also humans surviving a crooked room. So,
mhm,
how do I integrate these shadows for myself? How do I do so for them? So that we can affirm our liberation, because there is a timeline where our liberation is affirmed and it's true.
mhm. I think a big part of that is having grace for the facts of what you just said, that, we all, well, I don't know if we're all coming here to Earth for our first time or not, but we're experiencing this current reality for the first time. And so we can't expect that, you know, everyone is giving us the most perfect version of themselves, because it just doesn't exist. Like, there's too many factors, there's too many people that have come before us, and we are, you know, still working through some of those traumas, or at least we should be trying to work through those traumas so that we can just heal things for the forward generation. So Definitely. I feel like I've been learning a lot just from being in the community with you, just from working with you on this particular project. And um, yeah, let's you have your retreat coming up soon, virtual retreats. Talk about it.
Thank you. Thank you. So, my first virtual retreat is Sankofa Shadow Work Reframing Inheritance. And that
Hmm.
is September 28th, Sunday, 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern. And in this little container that we're creating, we're going to talk about some of the things we're talking about here. Sankofa
Hmm.
shadow work, generational trauma, but also start to really investigate and interrogate from the context, from that broader awareness, what else it is that we have inherited, because we wasn't just
Hmm.
cursed and set up with trauma. That's
Hmm.
not the reason that our bodies do this. That's not because what scientists have called epigenetic trauma, our indigenous ancestors already knew that. You know what I'm saying? They already knew that
Hmm.
we were responsible in those ways, and that it required an intentional connection with those that came before us and those who will come after, as well as all of the divine that encompasses us. So that is the framework in which we'll be sitting and exploring and reframing inheritance, the tools that we have to work with and integrate our shadows. Also be some light energy work. As I was talking to
Hmm.
Shakima a week or so ago, I think we're going to, maybe not this one because I hope that this is a series, but I also really want to get into informal initiation in the ways that we have been initiated, even if not in the traditional, ATR systems we may be aware of, or any other institutional space where we may have been initiated, but often we have been initiated by ancestors and elders,
Hmm.
initiated by life for our work. And even that is
Hmm.
some of the ways that showed up, and the ways that we survived that speak to, again, our inheritance, not just what we perceive as negative, but like legitimate proof that there were people who had intentions about us before we got here. So that will be what we're exploring. I'm saying it's a retreat from the crooked room. So you can acknowledge that the crooked room is what we're existing in most of the time, but come spend some
Hmm.
time in this space, in this room, where we can hold ourselves lovingly and start to do that integrative work.
Yes, and when you talk about inheritance, we're not talking about like insurance policies and land and assets necessarily.
Thank you so much for raising that point. Yeah, not necessarily. And so, what's really interesting is I did a little mini retreat with a group of folks from the Fusky Islands. So these are also Gullah Geechee people. And one of the
Hmm.
women came in later than we had started. So her cousin had shared just different things, kind of different intangible things that she kind of recognized that she had inherited from family members, like, endurance or just creativity, stuff like that. And her
Hmm.
cousin was like, nah, I don't know. I don't know that I've inherited anything. I really have to sit with that. I don't know that this resonates with me at all. And what we found out later is that she in fact had inherited land. Like she actually
Okay, well,
inherited a
she got some
house.
tangible inheritance.
And so it was very interesting to, one, recognize that she didn't even necessarily see that as significant as it was just in our
Hmm.
own context, let alone in this context we're living in right now. But also how, yes, those tangible things can speak to evidence of our ancestors having, an eye on us. That I think they
Hmm.
absolutely are that. But yeah, not just the tangible things. I think this idea of reframing inheritance actually came up for me after reading an essay. It's called The Mobius Strip of Money. And I can't remember the author's last name, but her first name is Megan, and she's very wealthy. She inherited a lot of wealth. This white woman inherited a lot of wealth from her grandparents. And um, she had a lot of shame and guilt around that, for whatever she felt like she didn't deserve the inheritance. I don't know how the inheritance,
Hmm.
came to be. But eventually, after doing some deep internal work, one, she recognized that trying to distance herself from the reality of this inheritance was one, like cutting off aspect of herself. Like she was denying and damning herself, but also in her inability to integrate this reality, she was unable to help people in the ways that she is now that she has accepted and integrated that this is her reality, and she wants to be able to help people not only with money but in other ways, philanthropically, that word. And and for me, I didn't expect to read that work and have anything in common with a very wealthy white woman. But how it resonated for me and myself and my own shadows was like, oh, I do have a cultural inheritance. I do have a familial inheritance. I do have like a family of cultural workers, and also an awareness at this point, like, oh, there were all kind of ancestral intentions and interventions happening throughout time and space for me to exist here with the purpose and skills and ideas I have now. And if I try to run from that and try to like start from scratch and try to be my own, whatever whiteness teaches us we can do,
what
I'll just
for?
be my
What are you
own.
trying to do that for? Why? It's already laid out for you when you
Come
just
on.
like, I want to go do my. I think that's
And
like a
why?
millennial thing. I don't know. We just
It's
feel like
always
we got to carve out our own path, and we don't want nobody to get no credit for what we did. We did it by ourselves. Um, that reminds me of. I don't know why I just thought about this movie, Welcome Home, Roscoe Jenkins. Have you ever seen that Martin Lawrence movie? And
yeah,
he's
long.
like a team of I or team of me. And he's like, oh, I'm self-made. I did all this by myself. And then he goes home to the family that he basically been saying all over the world that, they had nothing to do with his success. And it's just not true.
Right.
I think that definitely I have found myself kind of like running away from my inheritance, not really acknowledging what my inheritance is. And that does block you, you know. It definitely blocks you from expansion and from opportunities and connections. So that's something that I'm personally working on, is more of figuring out exactly all the inheritances that are due to me so that I can, fully thrive in that. So yes. What are some of the inheritances that you feel like have been gifted to you?
Oh, I don't know why I didn't expect that question.
It just came to
Nice. I mean, I'm definitely my role, or one of my very significant roles as a griot, is something
me.
that I've inherited. I've read that traditionally, it's not necessarily a generalization, but in a lot of indigenous communities, there's like one griot. It's not necessarily always common for two griots to come together and
Mhm,
then make griot children. So
mhm,
that's certainly an inheritance. I think the ways that I tell stories. I also just came here very old. So even when you was like, most of us, this is our first time being here, and I was like, yeah, I know, no, I've been here so many times. I've been here so many times, and I want this to be my last one. But I think some of my knowing and my wherewithal is absolutely an inheritance, and not just from like the recent ancestors I can remember, but from those long before, and even some inheritances from those past lives of mine, just different ways that
mhm,
I've manifested in body in timelines before this one or alongside this one. A commitment to our liberation is, I would say, an inheritance. Probably wouldn't even frame that before now, but I
mhm,
think about how much that shapes how I show up and do everything I do. And I know it didn't start with me. A belief that my people are free, that we deserve that we can't access those timelines. Those are things that
mhm,
started before the 35, 36 years in this body. So that's what's coming to mind right now. I'm a writer. I'm a speaker, I'm a healer. All of those are gifts that I have inherited. I'm also hilarious. I know that comes
Yeah.
from before me. I sing. Those are things that I have inherited. Yeah.
What do you think true liberation is going to look like for
Mm.
everybody, for your people?
Lovely question. So you know what? Somebody I was on a podcast last no Monday, and somebody asked me what advice I would have for people who want to be involved in their community. And I was like, you know what's actually coming to mind is the intentional work of remembering how to love ourselves. And not the very cliche like self-love that looks like whatever, but the self-love
Mm-hmm.
that looks like I care for and cherish myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very intentional about the spaces that I put myself in, and I'm intentional about the people that I care for. And I brought that up to say I feel like the more of us that are doing this, then we can collectively imagine a liberated future. And there are aspects of this liberated future that I don't, I could say there's no hierarchy and we know that we are enough and we all have access to food and water and education and shelter and clothes, and we all have the context to remember that we actually came here with purposes and we are souls in a human body having a human experience, and our ancestors are real and we should be in relationship with the trees, and we should learn how to resolve conflict and be in conflict in a way that speaks to the belief that we want to stay in community with each other. And like
Right.
how the song goes, I need you to survive, not like just
Mm-hmm.
I need you to survive, but like my survival it necessitates that you survive. I think
Right.
that's some of what I imagine that liberated future looks like in terms of all the shiny bells and whistles. I feel like we all have a role to play in what it looks like for us to show up as our whole selves, as opposed to contorting in these crooked rooms of empire and violence. And as we remember how to love ourselves, we'll be creating worlds where like we have dope ass conversations under the magnolia tree on a Friday morning.
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like for me, one thing that would signify liberation for me is like if the work that I do that is like my passion work, if that could just sustain me. I was just telling somebody earlier that like when I'm doing my artistic work, it makes me feel alive. Like
Mhm.
if I don't do this, then I can't even go to my regular job. Like I can't even make it through the day. Like I'll just be, you know, just meeting the status quo,
Yeah.
which is just not enough. And I think
Mhm.
that is a part of loving yourself is doing the things that make you feel good inside, like
Mhm.
doing the things that make you feel like this is the reason why like I finally feel like I know why I'm doing what I'm doing. Like for a long time, I was just doing it because it's like I had a feeling in my body to do it. But like
Mhm.
now I'm starting to understand where that's coming from.
Mhm.
And I think that is definitely a part of my personal liberation. Probably a lot of people's liberation is figuring out why are we here?
Mhm.
What do we need to do? How do we get to where it is we're supposed to be going? And doing that in an environment that's not oppressive to our being.
Facts. We deserve that. Now, would you say you can think to, and you don't have to name them now, but can you think of informal initiation experiences that you've had that have kind of affirmed what it is your purpose is? Like, are there experiences that you've had that have let you know, oh yeah, I do know what I'm doing here?
I would definitely say, like, just in this past, like, 3 to 6 months alone, I have definitely experienced some things that are like, okay, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Even though, like, some of the things I'm like, I don't really know why anyone would trust me to do this. I don't know who
Yeah,
told y'all that I have,
that's
the
so
wherewithal
real.
to do this, but now that I know it's my responsibility, I'm going to figure it out. And also another thing that has been happening to me lately, like certain situations and opportunities are falling into my lap that like align with the work I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance, I recently just accepted a contract with an organization, which I won't talk about the name of the company, anything like that. But anyway, I'm on an assignment where I have to interview Black grandmothers from the Low Country. And it's like this organization also talks about Sankofa and their
Mm-hmm.
work and documenting our inheritances. That's actually a big part of what the research is. They actually want to know, like, what did you inherit from your ancestors, whether it be something tangible or if it's like something that they used to say or something that they did. And so I feel like these opportunities are coming to me in a divine way,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
one, people are bringing them to me, so it's not like I'm going out seeking it. It's just like,
Yeah.
hey, I heard about this thing that you might be interested in, or you might be a good fit for this. And I feel like in the past I had a really bad habit of saying, well, I don't really qualify for this, or I don't
Mm-hmm.
really, that's not really my field, that's not really my lane. But now I'm like, you know what, let me just jump out there and maybe they can see something that I don't see. And yeah, so I feel like a part of the work that I'm supposed to do, that I'm on assignment to do now, because I'm aligning myself with the right energies, the right people, I'm a lot more in tune with my ancestors. Things are just coming to me. Like
Yeah.
it's just coming to me. So
I
for
love
sure.
that. That's beautiful. And that's such important work. Shout
Yes.
out to the archivists.
Yes, yes. So I'm excited about that. I actually got to make some phone calls when I get off with you to line up some interviews. Anybody who is watching this, if you are a Black grandmother in the Low Country, which typically the Low Country is anywhere that's like adjacent to Gullah Geechee corridor. In my mind, Low Country is like Georgetown, Charleston, Beaufort, Savannah, anywhere in those Sea Islands. They just
Coastal
have to be a Black
areas.
grandmother. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I'm excited about that. I'm like super excited to go ahead and get started, because it is very important that that stuff is documented.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of us don't have access, or our grandmothers, like me, my maternal grandmother is deceased,
Mm-hmm.
so is her mother. Um, so oftentimes I'm regretful for not having documented more of stuff while they were here to like tell me about it. So I'm excited for that.
I love that. I
And
love that. And shout out to Dr. Pittman. She played a large role in my graduate research as well. Dr. Lashonda, who does the grandmother research. So I feel
okay,
like yeah, I encountered her when I was in my master's program and she was looking for interviews about Gullah Geechee grandmothers. This was 2017. And so
wow,
she really played a role in the book and us here. So I'm grateful.
yes, the work continues.
Mhm.
It's a very important work, and I feel like super even honored to even be able to do it. And so yeah,
I love that.
that's what's up on the foreseeable calendar for me. And then what else? Next week, me and Shakima are going to a literary festival.
Mhm.
Excited for that in North Carolina.
That's
And
exciting.
what else is going on? There's always something going on, girl. I keep a full calendar of things.
You sure do.
I swear to God, I do. Like, and I'll be like, oh my God, I need to rest. I'm gonna chill out for a little while, and then somebody call me up, and I'm like, okay, yeah, let's do it.
I love that though. Hmm.
Yes, yes. So, guys, make sure that you support Sarah
Yes,
in this very,
please.
very valuable, important work that she is doing. Um, I just I love the fact that like you have your own personal experiences in here. I don't feel like I've ever read a book where like it was journal entries and then you talked about, different studies, or I say they're kind of like case studies. So like you present
Mhm.
this particular concept and then you give us background information on where that comes from. You give us the sources to go read up on it. Like that's where I fell in a rabbit hole, because you start talking about Zora Neale Hurston and Their eyes are watching God, which I think I read that like in middle school so
Mm-hmm.
long that I don't even remember what happened. So I have to reread that, then get into Melissa Perry Harris. So I'm like, I know about her because she was on TV for a long time. I don't think she's on TV anymore.
She was one of the first people to go. She was one of the first people
Yeah,
they took off the air.
it's really, really unfortunate. That's another thing that's like continuing to happen where our current administration is like silencing anybody that doesn't agree with them.
Mm-hmm.
And that in itself is very scary and sick
Mm-hmm.
to me.
Yeah, it blows
So
mine.
it's even more of a reason why we have to rally behind people like Sarah, people like Melissa Perry Harris, or am I saying it backwards?
Harris
Harris
Perry,
Perry.
I think. Mm-hmm.
All these people like who have valuable, like so much knowledge that, the average person may not come across ever in life if these people are silenced. So we have to support the arts, support the research, support the people who are doing the work
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank you so much. And thank you for all of your help and support. I'm so grateful we connected. I think I did remember that 2019 meeting in the room, but I hadn't remembered that's probably the first time we met. But yeah, I'm just
Hmm.
grateful. I'm grateful that we've connected further. I'm grateful to Shakima. I'm grateful for y'all
Yeah.
collaborative work. I'm grateful for you showing up, even if you're like, why would they trust me to do it? Because you show up
Yes,
and you show up and show out. And I'm just,
for
yeah, I'm
sure.
really honored to be in the
Yes.
community. So thank you.
For sure. And definitely like huge, huge, huge shout outs to Shakima. Like that has been my best, best friend for like over 20 years now. And one thing that I really, really value about our friendship is that this girl has connected me with so many people, some people I haven't even met yet before, like just online, but it's just always good stuff. It's always good energy. It's so many talented, talented people. We didn't even talk about the photo shoot. Like
Right.
just the way like things just like magically have been working together for all of our good.
Yeah,
So it's been a really good time so far, and I'm super excited to see like what's going to happen next because it's like a new development every few days. Like
it's true.
for real, for real. So yes, y'all, we want to get up out of here.
Thank
Um,
you.
we didn't have a whole whole lot of viewers, but I see it's an odd time of the day, so you'll see
Yeah.
the views going up and up and up and up. And y'all make sure that you are following, subscribe. This actually is on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.
Oh, nice.
Um, yeah, I got
Cool.
us going everywhere, and
For
I'll
sure.
probably download and chop it up a little bit so we can post some stuff.
Sounds good. Thank you so much, sis.
You're welcome. See you later.
All right.